The next phase is the conduct combat phase. And in this phase you're going to resolve all of the combat situations that you moved into in the previous phase. In this phase you're going to use the combat strip and the casualty zone strip shown earlier. The combat strip is separated into two sides. You have the attacking side on one side and then the defender side on the other. The unit silhouettes are in each spaces numbered 1 to 4. The casualty zone strip goes along the defender side. We're going to resolve the invasion of France battle first. So what you do is you just move all the units from the contested territory. So now we place those UK and French units along the defending side because they're the defenders in the battle. So for example, I would just take the French infantry unit with 5 chip underneath, so this is 6 French infantry units, find the infantry silhouette on the defender side and place them in that space. I'll continue to do that for all the other defending units. The two French facilities, the major industrial complex and the air base, do not play a role in the battle, so they just remain on the contested territory. Now I move the German units that invaded the French territory onto the attacker side, matching up the silhouettes with the unit types. So here are all the German attacking units on their silhouettes on the attacking side. The numbers represent the attack or defensive strength of each of the unit types. Now we need to look at combined arms. When certain units attack together, they get improvements in their attack strength. Namely, the artillery units can help out the infantry and the mechanized infantry units in their attack strength. For each artillery unit you have, you can pair that artillery unit with an infantry unit or a mechanized infantry unit to move them up one space in their attack strength. So I might choose to bring over 2 infantry units. This other infantry unit chip will just go under the stack along with the other infantry units. Similarly, if a tactical bomber attacks with a tank or a fighter, the tactical bomber's strength can increase by 1 from 3 to 4. In this case I have 3 tactical bombers attacking with 5 tanks and a fighter. So that is enough for all 3 tactical bombers to now attack at 4. This pairing and advantage can only happen as long as the units are present. So during the battle, if one of these artillery gets destroyed, then one of these infantry must go back down to 1. So now the battle can begin. The game comes with red dice and black dice. So during the game you can just designate that maybe the Axis are going to roll the black dice and the Allies are going to roll the red dice. The attacker goes first and looks at the number of units he has on the 1 space. I have 5 infantry and 4 mechanized infantry. So that's 9 units attacking at a strength of 1. So I'm going to roll 9 black dice. I look at what I rolled and I pick out those that I rolled at the attack strength or lesser. So in this case, the 1s. So I rolled 2 1s, so I score 2 hits. So the defender must choose 2 units to designate as hit. He may choose 2 of these French infantry units. So I can replace the red marker with 5 gray chips. 2 are hit, so I move them behind the casualty zone, and the other 2 go back there. So now I'll proceed down the line. In the attack at 2 space I have 4 units, so I'm going to roll 4 dice. Then I pick out the die rolls that are at 2 or less. I only rolled 1 2, so I only score 1 hit. So maybe the French loses another infantry. So I move a gray chip behind the casualty zone. On the 3 space I have 6 units, so I'm going to roll 6 dice. So now I pick out the die rolls that are 3 or less. So this 3, these 2 1s, and this 2. So I score 1 2 3 4 hits. So 4 more units are moved behind the casualty zone. My last attack are these 3 tactical bombers on the 4 or less spot. So I'm going to roll 3 dice. I pick out the die rolls that are 4 or less, this 4 and the 1, so I score 2 hits. So maybe these 2 artillery are hit. The defending side can choose any unit to be hit by any attack, but what you'll usually see happen is the lower units are chosen first because they are the cheaper unit. So this ends the first round of attacking. Now the defending units get to fire back, including those units that got hit, because it's considered a simultaneous firing by both sides. So now the defenders will fire in a similar fashion. On the 2 or less spot, I have the 6 French infantry units, 2 artillery, and 1 additional UK infantry. So that's 6 plus 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9. So the defenders are going to roll 9 dice. You pick out the die rolls that are 2 or less, so the defenders score 2 hits. So the Germans may decide to take away 2 infantry. These 2 infantry are removed from the game. They don't get to fire back because they already fired in the first round. The defending units are also removed from the game as they have fired back. Now the 2 tanks at the 3 or less will roll. I roll 2 dice because I have 2 units. Then I select the die that rolled 3 or less. Both of these are 4, so those 2 tanks do not hit. Then I have 1 fighter defending at 4 or less, so I roll 1 die. He rolled a 6, so he does not hit either. Now it's the attacker's turn to fire again, so you go through the same process. I have 3 infantry and 4 mechanized infantry, so I'm going to roll 7 dice. I pick out the die rolls at 1 or less. In this case, none of them hit. So I move down to the attacking at 2 or less. I have 4 units, so I roll 4 dice. I scored 1 hit, so the defender may choose one of these tanks to be hit. At 3 or less, I have 6 units, so I'm going to roll 6 dice. Pick out the die rolls at 3 or less. So I made 3 hits. The defender only has 2 left, so all of his units are destroyed. The attacker can now stop because all of the defender units have been hit. But the defending units do get to fire back, so 2 tanks at 3, so I roll 2 dice. I get 1 hit, so that infantry is removed from the game. The 2 tanks are removed from the game. And then the fighter gets to fire back, so I roll 1 at 4. I got a hit, so I lose 1 more infantry. And the fighter is dead as well. So that's how combat goes. One way combat can end is when all units from one side are destroyed, or when the attacker decides to retreat. As the attacker, I could have retreated after each round of firing. So after the attacker fires, then the defender fires back, the attacker can make the decision to stay and press the attack or retreat. In this battle it was looking good, so I decided to keep pressing the attack after each round. After each combat, you move the surviving units back to the contested territory. So I've moved the surviving invading German units back to France, and Germany has now captured the territory of France. So you put one of the German markers in the French territory to show that the Germans now own that territory, and you look at the number in the territory. In France this is 4. So on the national production chart, these are the starting values for Germany and France. I don't have the other countries' markers on here just for simplicity, but they would be on here to track theirs as well. So Germany has captured France, so Germany would move up 4, and France would move down 4. The planes will stay there for now, but they will have to move and land in the non-combat phase. So let's take a look at some of these sea battles to show you the unique situations of the unit types there. Let's first take a look at these 2 submarines against these 2 United Kingdom ships. So I put the 2 German submarines here on the attacking side and the UK destroyer on the defending side. The UK also had a transport ship in that sea zone, and he will be in the battle and being fired upon, but you'll notice that there's no silhouette for the transport on the defending side. So he will be here and can take hits, but he'll just be sitting on the side because he does not have a defensive role. Also, transports cannot take hits before other units. They will be the last units to take hits on the defensive side. The submarines have a special attack ability known as a surprise first strike. If there were other attacking units here, the submarines would fire first. If there were defending submarines present, they would also take part in the surprise strike. So the attacking submarines fire, any hits are immediately destroyed, then the defending submarines fire, and any units hit are immediately destroyed. And then the combat round goes as usual with other ships. The other special ability for submarines is on that surprise first strike. If they get a hit, the defender does not get to fire back. However, there is a destroyer present on the defending side. A destroyer will cancel the submarine's special ability, and the submarines fire during the normal sequence. So the attacker rolls 2 because we have 2 submarines at 2 or less, and I roll a hit. And remember, this is not the surprise strike special ability that the submarines have, so the destroyer will have a chance to fire back. So on the defensive side, the transport cannot fire back, but the destroyer can. So I roll 1 die, and I miss. So the destroyer is lost. Now notice that the transport cannot fire back. So the Germans could just keep rolling until they score a hit. So you can just take a shortcut and say the transport is destroyed. So the 2 German submarines win this battle and return to the contested sea zone. So I've moved the German submarines back to the contested sea zone. But note, for sea zones, you don't get any advances on the national production chart. You just control these waters. So let's take a look at this sea battle next. So here I have 2 German submarines and a fighter going up against a UK cruiser and a battleship. Note that I do not have a defending destroyer present, so the 2 submarines will get their special surprise first strike ability. So I'll roll 2 dice for the 2 submarines. I scored a hit at 2 or less, so the UK may choose the destroyer to be hit. Because it's hit by a submarine, it is out of the game and doesn't get a chance to fire back. Now the German fighter fires. He scores a hit. Battleships are special in that they're a capital ship, so they take 2 hits to destroy. I only scored 1 hit, so you denote the 1 hit by turning it on its side. So now the 2 German submarines fire again, using their special surprise first strike ability. They score a hit. The battleship is hit by the surprise first strike. Since it's already been hit, the battleship is out of the game and doesn't get to fire back. So the Germans win this sea battle and return to the contested sea zone. This is the sea battle right next door, next to Norway and Denmark. I have a German cruiser and a German battleship going against a French cruiser and a UK cruiser. So 1 at 3 is a hit, and 1 at 4 is a hit. The defender fires back 2 at 3, and the defender scores 1 hit. The Germans can decide to let the battleship take the hit and turn it on its side. The defenders are out of the game, so the Germans win this battle with a cruiser and a damaged battleship. These will return to the contested sea zone on the map. So this is the last battle. It's a sea zone battle next to Holland and Belgium and the United Kingdom. We have a German submarine, 2 fighters, and a bomber going against a UK destroyer and a battleship. Since there is a defending destroyer present, the attacking submarine loses his special first strike ability. So the battle ensues as normal. The submarine attacks and hits. So because it's a destroyer, you will get to fire back. Then the 2 planes attack and score 1 hit, so the battleship is turned on its side. And then the bomber attacks and scores a hit, so the battleship moves behind the casualty zone. The defending destroyer fires back, misses, so it's removed from the game and is dead. The defending battleship fires back and scores a hit, so the Germans may decide to lose the sub. So the sub and the battleship are destroyed. The remaining attacking German units go back to the contested sea zone. So this is the result of the combat phase. There are a few things to note. The planes remain in the contested territories and sea zones, but they will need to fly back and land in the non-combat phase, which is coming up. Another thing to note is that the battleship is returned to the map board on its side to note that it's damaged. If the battleship is able to survive until Germany's turn comes around again, Germany can use their naval base in Western Germany, which is adjacent to this sea zone, if it's still operative at that time, to repair the damaged battleship. This is done during the first phase, where you purchase and repair units. So at that time, if it survived and the naval base repaired it, it could be turned back and regain its full 2 hit points. But for now, it remains on its side.